Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something I think many of you tracking your health will recognize. It's that real puzzle when your data seems to tell two different stories at once, maybe showing stability overall, but chaos day to day. We've got a detailed personal review here. It's tracking daily body weight right across Q3 of 2025, so July through September. And crucially, we also have the year-to-date context, looking back over 9 months. The real challenge, isn't it, is figuring out what's signal and what's just noise, especially when the noise feels really significant.
It's a perfect set of data for this kind of analysis, really, because the numbers, they lay out this fascinating story about cause and effect. Our job today, our mission, is to pull out the key insights from all these ups and downs. We're focusing especially on how external things, factors maybe outside your direct control, like starting a new medication or having to change your diet for medical reasons, how these can just instantly reshape a trend you've worked hard on. We're looking for the why behind it all.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's dive in. Starting with the big headline for Q3 itself. If you just looked at the start and end of the quarter, you might feel a bit disappointed. The quarter kicked off July 1st at 67.50 kilograms. Fast forward to September 30th, the final weight recorded is 68.05 kilograms.
Right.
So that's a net change of plus 0.55 kilograms over the 3 months. A small gain, yeah, but if weight loss was the aim, you might look at that number and think, well, that didn't work.
And that single number, that plus 0.55, that's exactly why we need to dig deeper, because it completely papers over what was actually happening within the quarter. It hides a story of real success followed by a very sudden turnaround. If we break Q3 down month by month, the picture changes dramatically. July. That month saw a consistent drop in weight, almost half a kilo lost, ending down near 67 kilos flat.
Okay.
Then August comes along and the loss actually accelerates. Another 0.70 kilograms gone. Very steady, very consistent downward trend for 2 solid months.
That's such a crucial detail. So for 60 days straight, July and August, the direction was clearly down. It shows real effort, successful, dietary management was working.
Definitely.
And you mentioned the lowest point achieved. That was right near the end of August, wasn't it?
That's right. The lowest weight for the entire quarter, actually, the lowest for the whole 9 months we have data for, was hit on August 29th. 66.00 kilograms.
Wow. So that's a total loss of 1.15 kilos across July and August combined from the starting point.
Exactly. That 1.15 kilo drop over those 2 months, that's the real achievement hiding inside Q3. But while we see that progress, we also have to talk about the day-to-day swings, the volatility.
Right.
The source material points out that even during this successful downward trend, the daily weight readings fluctuated quite a bit. There was a swing of 2.35 kilograms between the absolute lowest reading, that 66.0, and the highest reading seen during Q3.
Okay, 2.35 kilos. That feels like a lot day to day. If you're the person on the scale seeing those kinds of jumps, up or down, it must be incredibly confusing. How do you even know if the real trend is moving, if it can swing by over 2 kilos?
That's a really common frustration and a key point. The source mentions this range is considered within the acceptable normal range. Now, what that really means, in simple terms, is these daily shifts are mostly temporary things.
Like water weight?
Exactly. Hydration levels, how much salty food you ate the day before, glycogen stores from carbs, even just the timing of when you weigh yourself. Your body holds several kilos of water and stored energy that can shift really quickly. So that volatility, even though it looks large on a daily chart, it's functionally just noise as long as the underlying trend, like the weekly average, is heading in the direction you want.
Oh, okay.
That's why focusing on something like a 7-day rolling average smooths out that noise and gives you a much clearer picture than stressing over one single morning's number.
Which brings us neatly to September, because that clear downward trend, that 1.15 kilos lost over 2 months, it didn't just slow down. It hit a wall and reversed. Hard.
Yes. This is where those external factors show their muscle.
The data for September shows this really sharp, sudden, and sustained reversal. That downward path just flips. The result for September alone was a gain of 1.30 kilograms in just 1 month, which of course is slightly more than the 1.15 lost in July and August, leading to that small overall net gain for Q3 we started with.
And this right here, this is the absolute key insight from this whole quarterly review. Because that rapid turnaround, it wasn't about effort slipping or discipline fading. The data shows the weight spike in September lined up exactly with starting a necessary new medication.
Oh, okay.
And crucially, this new treatment protocol required a major lifestyle change. Specifically, the person had to stop intermittent fasting immediately and go back to eating 3 regular meals a day.
Right. So it wasn't optional.
Not at all. And when you introduce a powerful external factor like medication, especially one that might impact metabolism or how your body handles fluids, and you combine that with a forced change in eating patterns, well, the body responds instantly.
It doesn't sort of ease into it.
No, it doesn't wait politely for the trend to catch up. You see it straight away. The physiological change overrides the recent behavioral pattern.
So we're seeing direct cause and effect. All that hard work in July and August, it was just overwhelmed by the immediate impact of the medication and the dietary shift it required. That's a big lesson about what really drives the numbers sometimes.
Absolutely. And the rolling average confirms it perfectly. If you smooth out the daily noise, that 7-day average through September, it shows this distinct, almost straight line upward path. It just climbs and climbs, leading to the quarter's maximum weight of 68.35 kilograms late in the month.
So the system, the body, just instantly adapted to the new reality.
Pretty much. It absorbed the new input, the medication, the different meal timing, and adjusted the baseline upwards.
That's incredibly important for you, the listener, if you're tracking your own data.
Yeah.
You might see a sudden reversal and blame yourself. But if there's a clear external cause, like a medication change, the data isn't saying you failed. It's saying, hey, the rules of the game just changed.
Exactly.
Okay, so that explains the roller coaster of Q3. The initial success, the lowest point, then the medication-driven reversal. Now let's zoom out. How does this very volatile quarter fit into the bigger picture? The year-to-date story, January 1st through to September 30th.
Right. And this is where the story takes another fascinating turn. Because when you look at the 9-month trend, what emerges is this almost uncanny stability. It's like the system has this incredibly strong anchor point it keeps returning to.
Okay.
Get ready for this. The starting weight, back on January 1st, 2025, it was 68.05 kilograms.
Same as the end of Q3.
Exactly. And the final weight recorded on September 30th after 9 months of ups and downs.
Don't tell me.
Also 68.05 kilograms.
Wow. Okay. Wait, so after 9 months, including a period of significant loss down to 66 kilos, a period earlier in the year possibly higher, and this big medication-driven spike back up.
So
The total net change over 9 months is precisely zero. Zilch.
0.00 kilograms, a perfect return to the starting line. It's quite remarkable statistically.
That's amazing.
The average weight across the 9 months was slightly lower, around 67.82 kilograms, which tells us the weight spent more time below the star 10 point than above it. We know the low was 66.0 kilograms in August.
Right.
But earlier in the year, there were peaks too. The data shows the highest weight for the year was actually 69.25 kilograms, and that was hit twice, once back in February and again in May.
So a range across 9 months from 66.0 kilograms up to 69.25 kilograms. That's a 3.25 kilogram total swing, yet it ends up exactly where it began. Okay, so the pattern of the early spikes, the dip down, the stabilization, the further dip, and then the sharp recovery back to the start that must tell the story of the year so far. The source breaks this down into phases, right?
Yes, it identifies 3 distinct phases that brought the weight back to that starting point. Phase 1 was what it calls the initial spike and decline. That's early 2025. The weight jumps up over 69 kilos in February, maybe post-holidays, who knows. But then it's followed by a pretty steady drop through March and April.
Okay, phase 1. Yeah.
Phase 2 is the mid-year stabilization and dip. This is Q2, where the weight kind of levels off around that 68.0 kilogram mark. And then, as we discussed, came the focused effort in Q3, July, and August, pushing it down further to that year's low point of 66.0 kilograms. That showed the body could respond to sustained effort.
Right.
Responding to diet.
And then, inevitably, phase 3, the late year recovery. That's September, the month we just dissected. Driven by the medication and diet change, the weight shoots back up with that clear upward trend, effectively erasing the 1.15 kilogram loss from July-August and landing, almost magically, right back at 68.05 kilograms, the exact January 1st weight. But why? I mean, if the effort successfully pushed the weight down 2 full kilos below that starting point, down to 66 kilograms, why didn't it sort of stabilize lower? Why did it snap back so perfectly to 68.05 once the external pressure changed? What makes 68.05 kilograms so sticky?
That is the million-dollar question this data raises, isn't it? It strongly suggests the presence of a powerful internal regulatory system, what scientists often call homeostasis, or what many people refer to more simply as a metabolic set point.
Okay.
The idea is that the body has a weight range it prefers or defends. In this case, 68.05 kilograms seems to be acting like a powerful gravitational center. You can pull away from it with sustained effort, like we saw in July and August.
Down to 66.
Right. Or you can be pushed away from it by other factors, like maybe whatever whatever caused the spikes to 69.25 earlier in the year. But unless that pressure is continuous and strong, or unless a powerful new factor like the September medication fundamentally shifts the baseline, the body seems to work hard to drift back towards that set point.
So the long-term stability, that tendency to return to 68.05, is actually stronger than the short-term efforts or fluctuations.
In this 9-month snapshot, absolutely. The inherent stability of the system seems to override the temporary behavioral or external inputs. The long-term trend is flat, despite significant volatility underneath.
That's such a key takeaway for anyone listening. You might have months where you feel you're making great progress or months where things feel off track, but there might be this underlying anchor weight your body keeps wanting to return to. And a major external change, like a necessary medication, can just completely reset the trajectory back towards that anchor.
Exactly right. The data here shows the system is fundamentally stable, even when the inputs driving it are quite volatile.
So summing up the lessons here, personal data, rarely a nice, clean, straight line.
Definitely not. It's usually defined by these sharp turns, often linked to very specific identifiable changes like that September medication. And in between those sharp turns, you often see long stretches where it feels like you're fighting against an invisible current, that set point pulling things back to baseline.
So the advice is, don't obsess over the daily ups and downs, the noise. Look for the sustained shifts in the average, especially if you can connect them to a real change in your life, your routine, or your health.
Precisely. That's where the real information is. The data isn't just tracking a number, it's telling you how effective your inputs are and how powerful other factors might be. Here, the diet input was working well until a stronger, unavoidable medical input took precedence.
And it really drives home why looking at the longer-term context, like the year-to-date, is so vital. The Q3 net gain looks slightly negative in isolation, but knowing it was driven by medical necessity and that it merely brought the weight back to the year's starting point, it reframes the story completely. It's not failure, it's evidence of remarkable long-term stability.
A stability dictated by factors perhaps deeper than just daily choices.
Which leads us perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener, to ponder. Think about the sheer resilience needed to achieve a net change of 0 over 9 full months. Despite a swing of over 3 kilograms between the year's high and low points, despite conscious efforts to lose weight proving successful for months, and despite a major external medical intervention forcing weight gain, the system ended up exactly where it started.
So the question to leave you with is, what is the nature of that stabilizing force in your own body, in your own data? What is that anchor point it seems to defend? And more importantly, what kind of sustained effort or what kind of fundamental physiological shift would actually be powerful enough to move that anchor permanently?
Something to definitely think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.